Go ahead and open up your Bibles to 1 Kings chapter 11. 1 Kings chapter 11, we're going to stay right there this evening. You know, we're talking about Solomon's folly is what is going on with this. Now, I will say that I have been asked a question. I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer, at least what I think, to this up front, so that as we go through this study, you don't have such a dismal thought process of what is going on. But, you know, Solomon does some bad things here in this chapter. We pretty much know him from this chapter alone because of some things going on here. But I think that when all is said and done, and this would be a sermon in itself, really more of a Bible class to really kind of walk through and try to prove this. But some people have asked, well, was Solomon faithful at the end of his days? The answer to that, I think, is yes. Now, like I said, it would be a long process to get to this point. I think the timing of some of the things that he is writing, such as in the Proverbs, that these things show that he has come to a conclusion that the things that he was doing in life, I mean, specifically when you go over to the Proverbs and you're seeing the things that he writes there, he is not all about the women and the wealth and all these different things. He has kind of like a scientific method here to life. Hey, I thought this might work out for me. I thought this might make me happy. Rather, this is not Proverbs, but Ecclesiastes. Thought this might make me happy. And then it turns out it doesn't make you happy, and so this is just vanity. So wealth doesn't make you happy. Having an abundance of women doesn't make you happy. Having all sorts of possessions, having power, all these things. He mentions all these things, and those things don't make you happy. And so at the end of all that, what does he say? He says, the conclusion of the whole matter is what? Fear God and keep his commandments. I believe that is where he ends his life. Now, I'm not going to get into an argument as to if someone thinks differently. That's fine if you think differently. I like the thought of hope here for him, and so, but that doesn't necessarily make it true just because I hope it. But I think that it makes sense that those things are written after he's done all these things. And where do we see that he does all these things? In chapter 11. And so anyway, I think that makes sense. But that being said, I think there's hope for Solomon at the end of his days. We need to jump in here and see what happens here during his time. 1 Kings 11, number 1. The first thing we're going to look at is foreign women. There are follies. These are the follies of Solomon. And so the first one here is foreign women. Look at verses 1 through 4 with me. It says, Now King Solomon loved many foreign women together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edenites, Sidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Jehovah said unto the children of Israel, Ye shall not go among them, neither shall they come among you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wife turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Jehovah his God, as was the heart of David his father. I have had a friend while I was in school at the Memphis School of Preaching, and you have to know we had a really good relationship here. This guy, he could memorize just about anything, I think. One time he had this lesson where he had memorized, I think it was 150 passages of Scripture. It was a lot, okay? It was a lot for a sermon, but anyway, we joked because he could kind of be... I don't know if there's an equivalent for this for men, but, growing up we called girls ditzy that acted like this, but I guess he was ditzy. I don't know. Is there an equivalent? I'm not sure. But anyway, we would joke, though, and I would say, you know what, you are the dumbest smart guy I know. That was our joke. He was, he laughed at it. We had a good time about it. But when you think about what Solomon has done here, he's supposed to be the wisest person to ever walk the face of this planet, really. You know, he is so wise, and yet what does he do? Some of the most foolish things that you can think of. You know, maybe it is because of wisdom he was able to do what he has done. I don't know. I have no idea how one person could say, it is okay for me to have all these women. We're talking about 1,000 women, okay? 1,000 women. You know, I know that probably if most of us men were being transparent here, I think we have a hard time trying to please one wife, much less 700, right? You know, we're trying to have a good relationship with one. There's no way he could have done this. And so anyway, as he is, got all these things going on, verse 2, let's go back to verse 2. Of the nations, you know, he's taken women from the nations which Jehovah had said unto the children of Israel. Look at Deuteronomy 7, verses 1 through 5. When you look at Deuteronomy 7, verses 1 through 5, it spells this out for us. In a very particular way as far as how things were supposed to be. When Jehovah thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and shall cast out many nations before thee, the Hittite and the Girgashite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Jehovah thy God shall deliver them up before thee, and thou shalt smite them, then thou shalt utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto a son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For if he will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods, so will the anger of Jehovah be kindled against you, and he will destroy thee quickly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall break down their altars, and dash in pieces their pillars, and hew down their Asherim, and burn their graven images with fire. And so when they were to go out and to go and take these nations, they were to utterly destroy. They were not going to take wives of these people, because the whole purpose was, hey, they will turn your heart away from God. They will. Now, if we are, again, kind of being honest with ourselves, can you think of a person that you know that maybe married somebody that wasn't a Christian, and what happened? Their heart was turned away from God. Do you know of anybody like that? I know of several people like that. And I hate to say it, but that is the truth of the matter. And so, again, he has all these wives and the concubines. Well, let's look at another verse that goes along with this. In Deuteronomy 17 and verse 17. It's talking about kings. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. All of which, what has Solomon done? He has done all of this. You know, the whole purpose of this is to show, hey, you know what? God is in charge here. He has all of the control. He is taking care of everything. And there is no need for you to do these things. But ultimately, you know, the thought process behind getting all these wives is for peace purposes. You know, that's what has always happened. That's what we see in the scriptures. And, well, you know what? You don't go and fight your enemy if your enemy has married your daughter, right? And so he has all these basically contracts with all these different nations and different cities. And so, you know, he is at peace with so many people. I wonder what this must have been like, to be quite frank. It must have been kind of a circus, right? Because what are you going to do? You're going to have a wedding. Well, how many times do you have a wedding? how often was he having weddings? Did he have multiple weddings at one time? Did he have multiple weddings in one day? Did he have a wedding every day for several days? I mean, how did this happen? This is just a ludicrous kind of a thought process. But there's more to this picture. So this is Solomon's first folly here, and that is that he gets foreign women, foreign wives. All right, number 2, he also finds foreign gods. Look at verses 5 through 8 here. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah, and went not fully after Jehovah, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, at the mount that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And so did he for all his foreign wives, who burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. Now, we could go through and just look at these individually, and I think that that would be an interesting study about what all these, gods were you're supposed to do in order to serve these. We know one in particular here, and that is Molech. And what do we know about Molech in particular? This was a god that they sacrificed children to. And so Solomon has built, these altars and these places for these different gods. And so for even Molech, he has built something for. And so did he for all his foreign wives. Again, his wives, his first folly, taking on all these foreign wives, they have taken his heart and drawn him away from God. This is a really sad thing, but this is something that was already predicted, and some things have been said about this. But let's look at 1 Samuel chapter 12. It's been a while since we've been in 1 Samuel, so let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 12 and see what is said here. This is in verses 19 through 25. 1 Samuel chapter 12, verses 19 through 25. It says, And all the people said unto Samuel, Pray for thy servants unto Jehovah thy God, that we die not. For we have added unto all our sins this evil to ask us a king. So remember, they asked for a king, and then Samuel gives a warning for this, right? And so they cry out to him and to Samuel, telling him to say this. And then in verse 20 it says, And Samuel said unto the people, Fear not, ye have indeed done all this evil, yet turn not aside from following Jehovah, but serve Jehovah with all your heart. And turn ye not aside, for then would ye go after vain things, which cannot profit nor deliver, for they are vain. For Jehovah will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it hath pleased Jehovah to make you a people unto himself. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against Jehovah in ceasing to pray for you, but I will instruct you in the good and the right way. Okay, so stop right here. He says, I'm going to pray for you. It would be wrong for me not to pray, and I think that's a good thing to remember. We need to pray. It's always good to pray. Verse 24, Only fear Jehovah and serve him in truth with all your heart, for consider how great things he hath done for you. Verse 25, But if ye shall still do wickedly, ye shall be consumed, both ye and your king. And so that is going to come to fruition with all this. And of course, I think another passage to remember in this regard is Acts 5 and verse 29. We must obey God rather than men. We need to follow God. And so Solomon has followed after foreign women, and then now he has his next folly is following after foreign gods. And then we're going to get into this next thing, the folly of sin. Look at verses 9 through 13. And Jehovah was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned away from Jehovah, the God of Israel, who had appeared unto him twice and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which Jehovah commanded. Wherefore Jehovah said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding in the days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit I will not rend away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. Now, what this is describing is something that we call the divided kingdom. There are 12 tribes, right? They're all, living in this same area, and they're working together. They are all governed together at this time. But now you're going to see a division that occurs here. And so this is all brought about with the folly of sin. All these things have come to pass because of Solomon refusing to listen to God. All right, number 4, fierce adversaries. Now, this comes in waves here. And so the first one is this. You got Hadad. Look at verses 14 through 22. It says, And Jehovah raised up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab the captain of the host was gone up to bury the slain, and had smitten every male in Edom, for Joab and all Israel remained there 6 months, until he had cut off every male in Edom, that Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. And they arose out of Midian, and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, who gave him a house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes, the queen. And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Genubath, his son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's house among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, Let me depart, that I may go to mine own country. Then Pharaoh said to him, But what hast thou lacked with me, that, behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country? And he answered, Nothing, howbeit, only let me depart. And so you get a lot of backstory here, but Hadad, during the time of David, you don't really see this at all. Whenever we see this happening previously, we don't see this side of the story. But Hadad, of course, has gone and into hiding. He was a child at the time when David and Joab were there, and Joab had slain all these people. And so when he finds out that David and Joab are dead, well, it's time to go back. It's time to go back and fight. And so, here is somebody that's going to be a thorn in the side of Solomon. You have Rezin here in 23 through 25. Look at this with me. And God raised up another adversary unto him, Rezin the son of Eliada, who had fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a troop when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and reigned in Damascus. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, besides the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel, and reigned over Syria. So, as you see this, you can see that throughout all of this, that God is actually destabilizing Solomon's kingdom. I mean, he had all this might, he had all this power, and yet God, nobody would have been able to go up against him except for God allows for it to happen. God is allowing for this as punishment. All right, the next thorn in his side is going to be Jeroboam. Look at verses 26 through 40. It says, in Jeroboam the son of Nebat, the Ephraimite of Zerudah, a servant of Solomon, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow, he also lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the reason why he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo and repaired the breach of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon saw the young man that he was industrious, and he gave him charge over all the labor of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, found him in the way. Now Ahijah had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field, and Ahijah laid hold of the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith Jehovah the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give the 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of Moab, Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and they have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my ordinances, as did David his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, who kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a lamp all the way before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all thy soul that thy soul desireth, and shalt be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and wilt walk in my ways, and do that which is right in mine eyes, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and will build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, but Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, and Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. Now, I want to make mention of a couple of things in that particular passage. Number one, you see further this division of the kingdom. The division of the kingdom comes from whom? From God. God does this. God divides it up, gives this portion to David. Lets that stay there with the house of David, but yet 10 tribes get to go with Jeroboam. And he says something that I think is very important for all of us to remember, and that is, it says, and it shall be, verse 38, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and wilt walk in my ways, and do that which is right in mine eyes, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and will build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. Now, if you want to go to some of the modern arguments that people like to give about Israel and how we need to protect Israel and all these things, what does this verse say about that? I mean, what does it say? If you are not going to live righteously, then no, I'm not going to be with you. I'm not going to. But if you will do what I have said, then what should you do? Then I'm going to make you a sure house. Now, I think that I've been toying with this for a little while, and maybe I should, but I've been toying with making a sermon over this and trying to put this to bed with all of our members about the Judeo-Christian stuff, and should we support Israel or should we not, and what does the Bible say? But when you look at these things, it kind of looks very interesting when what we see in the nation of Israel is a far cry from what we see in the Bible? You know, that answers the question for us already. And so when you look at all these things, Jeroboam is going to take these 10 tribes, and he is going to be over them. All right, verses 41 through 43 to round out this chapter here. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, all that he did and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? In the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. Now, as we are closing out, as we often do, we talk about some practical matters and some lessons learned. I think that there is really only one fitting lesson to be learned here. We could come up with several, I'm sure, but the one that jumps out at me the most is very simple, and that is, you need to follow God. Always follow God. Because everything that is mentioned in this is all folly because people were not following God. In particular, Solomon was not following God. The kings weren't supposed to have many wives, and yet what did Solomon do? He went above and beyond. Did David have many wives? He did. He broke this as well. But Solomon went far beyond that. I think that's a good lesson even for parents when they're thinking about their children. The things that you think, well, you know what, I'm going to do this, and you may give yourself some leeway, and you got to remember that you've got children looking at you and learning from you, and it may be that they see what you're doing, and they take it a step further, and that's certainly what Solomon did, but he took it a lot further, didn't he? You know, David had multiple wives. Well, you know, here we go. We have 700 wives, 300 concubines. And so then those women, they turned Solomon's heart away from God. And you know what? The downfall of all of this is just totally a lack of vision to follow God. They were warned, and they were warned, but they did not heed the warning. We need to follow God. If we do not heed the warning, you know, we have end result. We're not talking about nations here. We're talking about our own soul. We're talking about our own eternity. If we choose not to follow God, then we will have an eternity in hell. We don't want that. I don't want that for anybody here. I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for my worst enemy. And neither should you, right? We should want everybody to want to go to heaven. And so here's the thing. We need to be obedient to the gospel plan of salvation. As I look out here, I see many people who have done that very thing. But that is that we need to hear, believe, repent, confess, and be baptized. If you have done all those things, but you have not been living faithfully, we'd love to help you out with that. And so if there's anybody that needs this invitation, it is now yours. Please come as we stand and as we sing.